الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وعملا بفضلك يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan for taking the time out to join the fourth lesson of our Tafsir course. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this lesson beneficial for everyone and allow me to deliver it to the best of my ability. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. So inshallah, we will begin the lesson with some questions from our previous lesson. So if you do know the answer, inshallah, do write on the chat option. I'll let you know if it's correct or incorrect, inshallah. So the first question from our previous lesson. So last lesson we spoke about the last four verses of Surah Fatiha. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. The first question is, why is it so important to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance regularly? Okay, why is it so important to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance regularly? I could get participants to answer in the chat option, inshallah. Why do you think it's so important to ask Allah for guidance regularly? As we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance at least 40 times a day. We recite it in Nasrat al-Mustaqim at least 40 times a day. Why do you think this is very important? We'll get some participants soon, inshallah. Write some answers down. If you don't know, it's fine, inshallah. So the reason why we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance regularly is because shaitan can mislead us. Okay, it just takes shaitan a second to mislead us, so we should ask Allah for guidance. Okay, Ihdina Surat al-Mustaqim is the most powerful dua. The next question, inshallah, is who has been favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 6? You know, when Allah says, Surat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim, who has been favored? Okay, which categories are favored by Allah? Those that are joining now, we're just doing some questions from our previous lesson, inshallah, and then we will move on to Surah Naas and Surah Falaq. If I could get brothers and sisters to answer, who has been favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 6? Specifically, who was favored? There were four categories mentioned. So they were the prophets, the Siddiqeen, the Shuhada, and the Salihin. MashaAllah, Brother Abdullah, prophets, truthful one, martyrs, and righteous. MashaAllah, very good. A few more questions, inshallah, before we move on. Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry with in verse 7? Okay, Allah says, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ. Allah is angry with mashallah, Allah is angry, yes, very good. Allah is angry with the Jews. Okay, the reason why he's angry with them was they were arrogant and they ended up killing the prophets that were sent to them. And who went astray? Like the brother mentioned, it was the Christians who went astray. Last question before we move on to Surah Nas and Surah Falaq is, can anyone write anything about Ameen? So last lesson we learned about Ameen. Why do we say Ameen? If we say Ameen, what are the benefits of saying Ameen? If anyone could write some point, inshallah, on Ameen. It is begging Allah, mashallah. So Ameen is like begging Allah. Also, if our Ameen, if it coincides with the Ameen of angels, then our previous sins are all forgiven, mashallah. Okay, inshallah, we will begin our next two surahs, inshallah. The reason why we are doing Surah Nas and Surah Falaq together is they were both revealed together. So hence we will do both tafsir together, inshallah. Okay, now before we start, inshallah, we're going to learn about the cause of revelation. Why was Surah Nas and why was Surah Falaq? Why were they revealed? There was a Jewish man, his name was Labid bin A'sam. As you can see, it's on the screen, it says Labid. So a Jewish man, Labid bin A'sam, he casted a magical spell on our Prophet ﷺ, and this caused the Prophet ﷺ to fall ill. Some scholars say he fell ill for about 6 months, and he used to forget things. In these 6 months, he used to forget things. And the Prophet told Aisha radiallahu anha, his wife, that Allah had shown him a dream. Okay, in this dream, two angels came to him. One sat next to his head, and the other sat by his feet. And they started conversing with each other. The one angel, he asked the other one, that what is wrong with this man? And the other one answered, he is bewitched. Then the other asked, who has bewitched him? And the other one replied, Labid bin A'sam. He was then asked, what did he bewitch him with? And the other replied, he bewitched him with a comb and hair from his comb. And the final question was, where is the comb? Yeah, the final question the angel asked was, where is the comb? And the other answered, in a dried bank of a date palm under a rock in a well. So Aisha radiallahu anha says that the Prophet ﷺ went to the well to remove the comb, and upon reciting a verse, he untied a knot. So he recited all 11 verses. As we know, Surah Naas has 6 verses, Surah Falaq has 5 verses. Together, both surahs together have 11 verses. Labid bin A'sam and his daughters, they did a spell on the Prophet ﷺ and they tied 11 knots. Every verse he recited, he untied one knot, and at the end, all 11 verses were recited, all 11 knots were untied, and the Prophet, alhamdulillah, he was cured. Now, the Prophet was so merciful. You can see the second point, it says mercy of our Prophet. We all know how merciful he was, but how was he merciful in this event? His wife Aisha anha asked that why did you not expose the evil of Labid in public? Why didn't you go and tell people what Labid has done to you? Why didn't you make it public? And the Prophet said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cured me. Yes, I am better now. I do not want to become a source of discomfort for the people, because he knew if he made it public, most likely Labid would have been killed. If not beaten up, he would have definitely been killed. Okay, so the Prophet had so much mercy, he didn't want that to happen to Labid. As he was already better and he was healed, he left to that. Now, moving on to the next part of our slide is the virtues of these two surahs. What are the virtues of these two surahs? Protection from all types of evil. Okay, our Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to recite Surah Falaq and Surah Naas before sleeping and when waking up. This is a hadith that before we go to sleep and when we wake up, we should recite Surah Naas and Surah Falaq. He also encouraged us to recite these after every salah. So after every salah, we should try to recite Surah Naas and Surah Falaq. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, when a disease used to afflict the Prophet ﷺ, he used to recite these two surahs, blow it on his hand, and then he used to rub his hands over his body. Okay? So if the Prophet ﷺ had a disease or he was ill or something happened to him, he would recite these two surahs, Surah Nas and Surah Falaq, blow on his hand, and then he would pass his hand over his entire body. So these two surahs together are extremely powerful as a protection from black magic, evil eye, and all types of physical and spiritual evils. Okay, if we are ever, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect everyone, inshallah, and our families. If you are ever, uh, if you ever are, if you ever experience, okay, black magic or evil eye or anything, someone does it on you, okay, you should recite these two surahs, and there's other surahs that can be recited. There's something called the Manzil, 33 verses from the Quran. You can find the PDF online. If you recite that every single day, inshallah, you will be protected from black magic, evil eye, and all types of physical and spiritual evils. Now, together these two surahs are called Mu'awwadatain. Yeah, they're both together. They're called Mu'awwadatain. What does Mu'awwadatain mean? Mu'awwadatain means two surahs through which protection is sought. Because think about it, in Surah Nas, inshallah, we are gonna do the tafsir very soon of the surahs. In Surah Nas, we are taught to seek protection of Allah from Shaitan. Shaitan is the cause of eternal failure in the hereafter, and it is a protection from spiritual calamities. Shaitan can only spiritually affect us, he can't physically affect us ever. In Surah Falaq, we are taught to seek protection of Allah from worldly calamities, and these are all physical calamities, inshallah. We will cover that in the summary of the surahs, inshallah. So we just went over the cause of revelation, the virtues of these two surahs, and why they are called Ma'awwadatain. Inshallah, we will start the summary of Surah Nas. For those who joined late, inshallah, you can watch the recording, inshallah, and you can catch up. We just missed a bit. No, so the summary of Surah Nas. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The first verse. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس. We're going to do the first three verses together. Now, let me break the translation up for you first. Qul means say. It's a command. Allah is saying say. Like there's many surahs that start with Qul. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. Qul is a command. Allah is saying to the Prophet, say. A'udhu means I seek refuge. We all know a'udhu because we say a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. The word be before Rabb, it means in. Rabb, we already done it in Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. You can translate as Lord. Okay. An-Nas is mankind, people. Malikin Nas. Malik means king. An-Nas again mankind. Ilah means God. And Nas again means mankind. Now, inshallah, let's break these three verses down. Let's understand these three verses. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used three of His qualities in the opening three verses. Okay, He said, Rabbin Nas, Lord of mankind. Yes, the King of mankind, the God of mankind. Now, this shows us the object, the being we are seeking protection in Allah from is a very big threat to us. Okay, because Allah is telling us to ask to seek protection from Him three times. So that shows that the being we are seeking protection in Allah from is a very big threat to us. This is none other than Shaitan, Iblis himself. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used Nas at the end of the first three verses because Shaitan's whispers are specific to man, not animal or any other creation. Allah didn't say قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ Allah didn't refer to animals. He said قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. He never said jinn or anything because Shaitan's whispers are specifically only for man and not animals or anything else. Allah mentioned three qualities. Yes, Rabb, Malik and Ilah. Now, since all three of these, they protect which is in their dominion. Okay, a Lord protects what He owns, a king protects his subjects, and a God protects His creation. The word Rabb can refer to anyone. Like for example, Rabb means Lord, right? Now we have people like Lord Alan Sugar. If you get high in society, you can get the title of as Lord, right? Even in Arabic as well, Rabbul Mal, someone who owns a lot of wealth. Now, the title of Lord, it can be given to anyone, right? However, not every Lord is a king. So Allah says, Malikin Nas. Allah is not only a Lord, Allah is also a king. And not every king is a God. Allah says, Ilahin Nas. So Allah is the only being who is a Lord, a king, and a God as well. Allah is all three. Allah is a Lord, a king, and a God. Okay, a God worthy of worship. Hence, His protection is the best of protection. Now, Shaitan declares himself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is his creator. Okay? You all know the verse where Shaitan says, خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. That he says to Allah that you created me from fire and you created him, as in Adam alayhi salam, from mud. So Shaitan is saying to Allah that you created me. So Shaitan himself has declared that, oh Allah, you created me. Okay, you are my God, you created me. However, look how twisted Shaitan is. He made Fir'aun believe that Fir'aun is a Rabb, Fir'aun is a Malik, Fir'aun is a Ilah. He has made Fir'aun, Shaitan, the one who declared himself that Allah, you are my Lord, by saying, Khalaqatani, you created me from fire. This Shaitan, this Iblis has made Fir'aun believe that Fir'aun is a Lord, Fir'aun is a king, and Fir'aun is a God. There are three verses where Fir'aun says in the Quran, فَقَالَ أَنَّ رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. Fir'aun says, I am your Lord most high. So Fir'aun thinks he's a Rabb. فَقَالَ, so Fir'aun saying, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. Okay, that I am your Lord most high. So he thinks he's Rabb. Fir'aun also thinks he's Malik. There's a verse in the Quran, أَلَيْسَ لِي مُلْكُ مِصْرٍ. Okay, Fir'aun says, don't I own the kingdom of Egypt? And Fir'aun thinks he's God as well. He says, وَقَالَ فِرْعَوْنُ يَا أَيُّهَا الْمَلَأُ مَا عَلِمْتُ لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرِي. The Fir'aun said, I don't know of any other God other than me. So Shaitan has made Fir'aun think that he's a God, he's a king, and he's a Lord as well. Okay? And Shaitan himself knows that Allah is the Lord, and He's going to make us, He will do anything to take us and lead us astray. Now, the first three verses, we are seeking Allah, we are seeking protection, okay? We are seeking protection in Allah from the very big threat, shaitan. If you look at verse number 4, من شر الوسواس الخناس, okay? From the evil of the whisperer who withdraws. So min in Arabic means from, shar means evil, waswas, okay, you know, you've heard the word waswasa, whisper. Waswas is whisperer, someone who whispers, and khannas means someone who withdraws, someone who retreats. Now, let's talk about waswas. Shaitan's whisper, it goes straight to the heart. Okay, it's a voice which is not heard. You cannot hear Shaitan's whisper. You know, normally when we whisper, when we talk, yes, you can hear. The ears can hear, right? There is a sound that comes out from the person's mouth. Whereas Shaitan's one, yes, it goes directly into the hearts. It goes directly into the hearts of mankind. And it can travel miles and miles and miles. Okay, let me ask everyone a question. How did Shaitan whisper to Adam alayhi salam if Shaitan was thrown out of Jannah? Okay, you know, Shaitan whispered to Adam as to eat from that tree. How did he do that if Shaitan was thrown out of Jannah and Adam was in Jannah? Does anyone know the question, the answer? Sorry, I just saw your message now. Is it possible to slow down slightly? Inshallah, slow down slightly. The reason is we've got about say 9 more weeks left, cover around 19 surahs. So inshallah, if I am going too fast, do forgive me. Please do watch the recording, inshallah. And if anything you don't understand, I will ask you. You can ask questions, inshallah. Someone replied, he came in his head and whispered. Yes, you can say that. So Shaitan's whisper, it can travel miles and miles, yeah? So Shaitan's whispers are like rays, it can travel very far. So he whispered from the earth, but from the earth, the whisper, it traveled all the way to Jannah and influenced Prophet Adam and Hawa to make an error. And write this part down. This part is very, very important to write down. You might think that what is the power of a whisper? You might think it's just a whisper, it's nothing, right? You might think a whisper can't do nothing, but write this down that a whisper leads to a thought. A whisper leads to a thought. A thought becomes an intention. An intention leads to an action. An action becomes a habit, and a habit becomes your character. I'll repeat that again. A whisper, this is the power of a whisper. It all starts from a whisper. It all starts from Shaitan's whisper. And you can't hear that because it goes straight to your heart. So a whisper leads to a thought. A whisper becomes a thought. Thought becomes an intention. Should I do or should I not do it? Or let me just do it. An intention leads to an action. You end up doing it. An action, because you keep doing the action, it becomes a habit. And this habit becomes your character. So it all starts from a thought. As soon as an evil thought comes to you, delete it immediately. No one is safe from evil thoughts. No one, even the Imams of Haram, even the Imam of Medina, every single person gets evil thoughts from Shaitan. The challenge is what you do with this thought. Do you delete it or do you let it stay in your brain and you think about it and you make it into an intention, then you make it into an action, then you make it into a habit, then you make it into your character. Don't let a thought sink into your brain for too long. It comes in, an evil thought comes in, delete it immediately, move on, think of something good. Okay, so that's what waswas is. Shaitan whispers day and night throughout the day, 24 hours. As soon as you're awake, Shaitan will whisper many evil thoughts into you. Do not make that thought an intention, and the intention into an action, and the action don't make it into a habit, and don't make the habit into your character. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us all. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. The last word in that verse is khannas. Now what is khannas? Khannas means to retreat, to withdraw. Shaitan withdraws, he moves away when we say Allah's name. Yes? And when we are negligent, when we forget about Allah, when we're doing other things, he will come and attack us. Yes? He will give us evil ideas. And this will continue throughout our life. Okay? Since the day we were born until the day we can differentiate between good and bad, until the day we are buried. Shaitan, there will be a shaitan accompanying us throughout our life. No one is free from this. Another thing is shaitan, he makes us do an evil action and he runs away. after you commit a crime, no one can blame shaitan. If you commit a crime, for example, you stole off, say, Tesco, and the police come, you can't say, oh, shaitan made me do it. No, you can't say that. He will make you commit a crime and he will run away. He will never physically make you do anything. And even on the day of judgment, he will say, don't blame me, blame yourself. It comes in the Quran. فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't blame me, blame yourself. I just gave you a whisper. You acted upon it. Shaitan cannot force us to do evil. Yes, he won't pull you. He won't pull you towards an evil action. He won't take the Quran off you when you are reciting the Quran. No, right? However, Shaitan runs through the body of a man like blood flows through veins. This is a hadith. I will tell you the story. So once the Prophet ﷺ, he was walking with his wife Safiya bint Huyay, radiallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her, that he was walking with his wife Safiya bint Huyay, and then two Sahaba, they suddenly appeared. The Prophet ﷺ, because his wife was covered up, she was wearing her hijab and niqab, she was wearing her veil. Two Sahaba, they appeared, and the Prophet ﷺ said, this is Safiya bint Huyay. And the two Sahaba, they said, oh Prophet of Allah, we would have never imagined you to do anything wrong. You don't have to clarify who this is. Then the Prophet said, no, shaitan runs through the body of a man like blood flows through veins. Just in case the Sahaba think that who is this woman with the Prophet, the Prophet is clarifying it. We will move on to our next verse. Before then, inshallah, if you have any questions, do feel free to ask. Okay, someone asked, how do we identify? I didn't understand your question. If you could, if you could explain a bit more, inshallah, your question. Okay, moving on, inshallah, to our next verse. Sister, if you could give extra information. Okay, inshallah. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس, who whispers in the hearts of mankind. So shaitan, he whispers into the hearts of mankind. Shaitan whispers straight into our hearts. Shaitan whispers straight into our hearts. He doesn't go into our ears. You can't hear the whisper. He goes straight into the heart. Now, shaitan's whispers don't have a sound. Okay, they cannot be heard by the ear. They are directly put into the heart. Okay, so like I said before, don't let these evil thoughts become an intention. Control your thoughts. Immediately remember that Allah SWT is watching me. This will prevent you from sinning. Thieves will never steal in front of the police. A thief will never steal in front of the police. Yes, everyone drives safe when they're next to a police. What about Allah? The police are not watching you 24/7, right? Allah is watching you 24/7. How do people have the guts and courage to sin whilst Allah, our Creator, is watching us? People fear the police. Why? Because they're going to go to jail, which is temporary. And it's nothing compared to Allah SWT will take the sinners. Jahannam is way worse than a jail. You cannot compare them. So whenever you feel like doing an evil sin, someone did ask a question, okay, whenever you feel like doing a sin, okay, how do you identify the child? If it's an evil intention to do something wrong, obviously you just delete that off your head. Now, whenever you feel like doing a sin, my teacher would give us, he told us to do two things. Remember that Allah is watching you. If you do that sin, you're sinning while Allah is watching you. It's like stealing in a shop and the police is watching you. Would you ever do that? You would call someone stupid to do that, right? So you're sinning while Allah is watching you. Inshallah, that will stop you from sinning. And number two is very effective as well. Imagine you die whilst doing such a sin. Imagine you're stealing or you're doing something wrong. You listen to music, right? Or you're missing salah. Yeah. Imagine you die whilst doing that sin. You will be resurrected. You will leave this world, and the last action you did was committing that sin. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us from our shortcomings. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Moving on to our last verse is min al-jinnati wan nas. Be he from among the jinn or man. So jinns have been mentioned first in the verse because evil jinns are the primary whisperers. When you hear the word jinn, don't think that jinn, the word jinn, they're all evil. Okay, not all jinns are evil. Some are very good. Yes? Jinns are like mankind. Some are good, some are very evil. But evil jinns are the primary whisperers. However, human beings can also whisper evil as well. As Allah says, مِنَ الْجِنَّةِ وَالنَّاسِ. Be he from among the jinn or man. some human beings, yes, that they create doubts in the hearts of people, yes. And the second meaning could be that our nafs, yes, our desires are they it puts evil thoughts into us. Hence the Prophet said, okay, hence you should make this dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min sharri nafsi, that oh Allah protect us, oh Allah seek protection from you, okay, from the evil of our nafs, of our desires. Now, I want to ask a question to everyone that why do you think the Quran has been compiled in such a way that Surah Nas is the last surah? Couldn't the last surah be something more positive? Why does the Quran have to end? Why has the Quran been compiled by the Sahaba in such a way that the ending is something like negative regarding Shaitan? Why couldn't it be something positive? Does anyone know why? Can anyone guess why? I'll tell you, inshallah. MashaAllah, Sister a final reminder. Very, very good, mashallah. To remind us as a warning, very good. So the answer I would give is because Shaitan plays a critical role in our lives. Yes. If he influences us into committing evil, we will pay the penalty in the hereafter. And failure in the hereafter is the worst of failures, right? If you fail your GCC, you can retake it. If you fail your driving test, you can retake it. Everything in life we can retake. We can do our exams again in life. Our tests we can. There's options that we can do it again. The only test we can't retake is the test of this world. This is why the Quran ends with an emphasis upon the need to be safe from such an eternal failure in the hereafter. Okay? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from all types of evil. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. That was the summary of Surah Nas. Inshallah, we'll move on to Surah Falaq. Before we move on to Surah Falaq, has anyone got any questions? Feel free to ask any questions if you have any questions. Okay, that's fine. Inshallah, we're going to move to Surah Falaq. And then inshallah I'll give you the differences between both surahs. So in Surah Nas we were seeking refuge in Allah three times with three different attributes. Why? Because we're seeking Allah from protection from the most evil of creation, Shaitan. So we had to seek protection from Allah three times and with three attributes. However, in Surah Falaq, we only seek protection in Allah with once with one of his attributes, but we seek protection from many evils. Okay, three or more evils. Now let's look at Surah Falaq, inshallah. The first verse is قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. That again, قُل means say. أعوذ again, I seek refuge. Like أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. But here with a kasra, it means in, Rabb, Lord, or the one who nurtures. Falaq. We're going to look at this word. It's a new word. Falaq means daybreak. Okay. Falaq in Arabic literally means to break, open, or crack. So what does it mean by daybreak is because, in a daybreak, as the light of the day, it breaks and it removes the darkness of the night, right? Hence, falaq is here, is translated as the daybreak. Now, a question may arise that from all of Allah's attributes, why did he use the Lord of the daybreak? He could have said the Lord of the worlds. He could have said many other attributes of his, right? Why did he use the Lord of the daybreak? Reason is it could be that it's an indication that just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the darkness of night and brings the day in its place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can also replace the darkness of evil with the light of good. Okay, with the light of good. Let's look at the next verse. مِن شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ. That min means from, shar means evil, ma means what, and khalaq means he created. So the full verse means from the evil of that which he has created. So we are seeking protection from Allah with one name. So we say قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Say I seek refuge in the Lord of daybreak. Yes, we only ask him for protection once, whereas in Surah Nas we ask him for protection three times. Now what are we seeking protection from? Okay, the second verse says from the evil of that which he has created. This verse serves as a general protection, okay? It's not specifically mentioning anything. So all the evil Allah has created, all the evil that exists on this earth, okay, and what Allah has created, we are seeking protection from that. In the next three verses, okay, Allah specifies three different types of evil, and we will go into detail from in them three, inshallah. The first one Allah specifies is وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ. Again, the letter waw means and, min means from, shar means the evil, ghasiqin means darkness, idha means when, and waqab means spreads. So ghasiqin is a word, it comes from the word ghasaq, which means spreading of darkness. So ghasiqin, I would just say darkness. Yeah. Waqab means for the darkness to fill something completely. Okay, so if a room is very dark, you can say waqab because the darkness has filled the full room up. Now, hence, according to many scholars, this verse refers to the night. Okay, now um, why do you think evil takes place a lot at night? Okay, why do you think it's been specifically speaking about the night? Okay, so we are seeking from the evil of the darkness when it spreads. Anyone want to say anything they think? What happens at night? Night, there's silence. Someone wrote silence. So at night, usually more sins take place. Thoughts come into your mind. Days for humans, night is for unseen. Okay, inshallah. Did you know that obviously you all would know that most robbers, thieves, they steal at night because they think no one can see them, right? Dangerous animals, foxes and stuff like that, they come out at night. Insects, you can't see them at night. Okay, people do a lot of attacks at night. Okay, black magic is usually done at night because evil increases at night as many think no one can see them. Yeah, no one can see them committing evil. Okay, they will never get caught. However, they don't understand that Allah can see everything. Even if a black insect, even if a black ant was to walk on a black stone under the ground in the night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can still see it, right? So it doesn't matter how dark the night gets, right? No matter what, Allah can see. But people obviously they assume that because it's dark, okay, and evil does increase at night. Okay, a lot of crimes and everything they take place at night. However, Allah can see everything. Okay, hence why we say from the evil of the darkness when it spreads. When the darkness after Maghrib it spreads until Isha time, and past Isha time it gets very dark. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from such an evil. The next verse is وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and from the evil of those who practice witchcraft when they blow on knots. Now, min means from, sharri means evil. Nafathat, nafathat means those who practice witchcraft, those who blow, okay, meaning witches basically. Fi means on, and uqad means knots. So let's understand nafathat. Nafathat comes from the word nafath, which means to blow, okay. Uqad here is the plural of a word which is uqda in Arabic, which means a knot. Now, nafathat, the word nafathat, it refers to woman. The reason why it refers to woman is women have been specifically mentioned. Reason is scholars have mentioned two possible reasons. Okay, they say number one is women indulge in witchcraft more than men. Number two, they say is Labid, Labid, the one who casted the spell, the magic spell on the Prophet, he used his daughters helped him. Okay, now witchcraft is an evil. Okay, it is based on the obedience of shaitan. And through this witchcraft, many lives, marriages, family relationships are broken. But to get such power from shaitan, you have to literally bow down to shaitan. A person needs to commit many major sins to get this temporary evil power from shaitan. This is also shirk, as you will need to obey shaitan and call onto him. So a person needs to commit many major sins to get this evil temporary power from shaitan. Okay, this is also shirk. as you will need to obey shaitan and call onto him. And the last verse is وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. We will spend some time on this verse. We will spend a lot of time on this verse. So the meaning of this verse is, and from the evil of the jealous one when he acts upon his jealousy. Min means from, shar means evil, hasidin means a jealous one, idha means when he, and hasad means when he is jealous or when he acts upon his jealousy. Now, jealousy is linked with the previous verse. Jealousy and black magic are linked. How is jealousy and black magic linked? Because a jealous person is always looking for a way to harm the person he is jealous of. And some people resort to black magic. Okay, so jealousy and black magic, they are both linked because a person who is jealous, he is always looking for a way to harm the person he is jealous of. Now, what is jealousy? Jealousy is when one person, yes, when a person, he wants a blessing removed from another person. And he doesn't care if he gets that object. Okay, just say for example, man A is jealous of man B's, say, Lamborghini. He doesn't care if he will get the Lamborghini. He just wants man B to lose that Lamborghini. Okay, he wants to be scratched up. He wants it to be broken. Okay, and this is very, very evil. Why? Because you are challenging Allah's wisdom. You're saying, "Oh Allah, he didn't deserve it. I deserved it more." Or how did this person get Lamborghini? Or how did this person get Rolex? Or how did this person get such a nice house? How did this person get such a good job? He wasn't clever. He didn't do good with his education. Who are you to question Allah's wisdom? Allah gave it to this person. Maybe Allah wants to test them. By the way, when Allah gives someone wealth, yes, it doesn't mean that person maybe deserves it. It could be Allah is testing that person. Okay, Allah can test you through wealth to see that are you being grateful back to Allah, or are you showing off and acting like you deserved it? Are you giving back in charity or not? And jealousy was the first sin on the earth. Can anyone tell me who committed this sin? The first sin to take place on the earth was jealousy. Does anyone know who committed this? Habil and Qabil. Someone said, can I repeat why woman? Okay, the reason why scholars say nafathat is referring to a woman. You know, when you see a flat at the end, yes, like mu'minat. Mu'minun is men, mu'minat. Qanitin, qanitat. When the flat ta comes at the end, it's referring to woman. So nafathat, scholars say two reasons why women are mentioned. The first one is women indulge in witchcraft more than men. Second one is Labi's daughters. They were part of bewitching the Prophet. They helped the father cast a spell on the Prophet. Now, the first sin to take place on the earth, mashallah, a few of you answered, it was Habil and Qabil. Habil and his brother Qabil. They were both Adam alayhi salam's sons. I will tell you the story, inshallah, in brief. Habil and Qabil were both sons of Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Okay, we know that he first lived on this earth alone. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him his wife Hawa, and they had children. So they had children in pairs. So they had twins. So they would have a boy and a girl. After some time, a boy and a girl. After some time, a boy and a girl. They had many pairs of children like that. Now, the first time they had children was Qabil and his sister, his twin sister. Then later on, they had Habil and his twin sister. Now, Qabil, Qabil's twin sister, she was more beautiful than Habil's twin sister, and Qabil wanted to marry his twin sister. However, Adam al-Islam wanted to do the opposite. He wanted Qabil to marry Habil's twin sister and Habil to marry Qabil's twin sister. Now, that got Qabil very angry. Why? Because his twin sister was more attractive and more beautiful, and he wanted to marry her. Not only that, when Adam al-Islam told his sons to be grateful to Allah, to give something back, to make a sacrifice, Habil, the good brother, he sacrificed a sheep. And the sheep is something very big. And back in the days, what they would do is they would go and put it on a like a hill, on a mountain. And if Allah sends a thunderbolt or a whirlwind or something, and if basically if the sacrifice goes missing, if Allah takes it away, that means it's been accepted by Allah. So Habil gave a sheep, and Qabil gave the worst of his belongings, the worst of his possessions. And Habil's sacrifice was accepted by Allah. However, Qabil's wasn't. So Qabil, he accused his father Adam alayhi salam for only making dua for Habil, which wasn't the case. So all of this, he was just growing his jealousy and anger for his brother. And Shaitan came in between, and Shaitan said, look, when Adam passes away, when your father Adam passes away, um, all responsibility and all this, basically everything, all the power will be given to Habil. You have to do something about it. You have to kill Qabil. And Qabil, from his jealousy, look what he done. His jealousy led to murder. He was the first person on this earth to murder. He didn't want to murder his brother. And then he turned away. He thought, I won't do it. Shaitan came to him again and said, this is the only way you can get rid of your brother. Just kill him off. Just finish him off. And Shaitan made Qabil kill his brother Habil. So look what happened. From jealousy, look what it led to. And after he murdered his brother, Shaitan was nowhere to be seen. Shaitan didn't give him any advice. He just left. Allah had to send crows. Allah had to send birds to show Qabil that when someone passes away, you have to bury them. You have to dig the ground up. A bird had to come, a crow had to come and show him to do that, how to do that. And also, the first sin to take place in the heavens was jealousy as well. Can anyone say who was it between? First sin to take place in the heavens was jealousy as well. The first sin to take place in the heavens was jealousy. Who was it between? MashaAllah. Shaitan and Adam. Yes, very good. It was between Shaitan and Adam. So Allah first sent jinns to this earth. Yeah, Allah first sent jinns to this earth, and obviously He gave them commands and He told them to stay away from certain things. However, most of the jinns, majority of them, they acted very wickedly. They were very evil. They would kill each other. They would kill the prophets. There were jinn prophets as well that was said. They would kill the prophets. They would do so much wrong. They would never listen to Allah. There was one jinn who was very good. By the way, before they could fly all the way to Jannah. Jinns could fly. Right now, they can't fly. They can fly, but they can't go into Jannah anymore. They can't go too high. Okay, Allah shoots them down now. Okay, with the stars, it's mentioned in Surah Mulk. Okay, that وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينَ. That Allah has created the stars as like lamps, and when shaitans try to come up to eavesdrop, Allah shoots them down with the stars. But before they could go all the way to Jannah. Now, one jinn, his name was Iblis. He was a very good jinn. He would always go to Jannah, and he would be in the company of angels and Allah really loved him. Okay, like some scholars say, there is not a place in Jannah where Iblis hasn't worshipped Allah. He was such a good jinn that he was classed with the angels. So think about it. What did Allah say? Allah told the angels to prostrate to Adam. He never told the jinn. Iblis was a jinn. Why didn't Iblis argue, saying, "Oh Allah"? Yes. Why didn't Iblis argue and say, "Oh Allah, you didn't command me, you commanded the angels"? It's because Iblis was 24/7 with the angels, and he was always with Allah. And when Allah said, "I am making a person in charge of the earth, I am making a vicegerent of the earth, a Khalifa on this earth," Iblis automatically thought it was him, right? Because he is the best of jinns. And when Allah said, "He is Adam, and I want you to prostrate to him," yes, that got Iblis very angry. Yes, pride, it crept into his heart, and he was very jealous of Adam alayhi salam. Hence, he didn't want to prostrate to Adam. Now look what happened. He was very arrogant. He had so much pride. Jealousy took him from being one of Allah's best creations to becoming the worst of creations. And Allah would have obviously doomed him to hell. Allah would have destroyed him, but he asked Allah for some time, and he said, "Oh Allah, give me some time. Yes, and I will lead everyone astray. I will come from the front, from the back, from the side, from the left, from the right, from the bottom, from the top. Every way I would come, and I would fill your your creation with evil thoughts. He even said, I will sit on the straight path. So everyone to get into Jannah, you will have to go past Shaitan Iblis. You'll have to go through him. You'll have to battle him. You'll have to listen to his whispers and not make it into an intention by deleting it. And this was the story of Iblis, and Allah said, that's fine. You and those who follow you, you will be the fuel of the fire of Jahannam. Another thing about jealousy is that jealousy burns good deeds like fire burns wood. If you are jealous, I told you before, if you are jealous, you are challenging Allah's wisdom. That you are kind of asking Allah that, oh Allah, how did he deserve to get this? Who are you to even ask Allah that? If Allah gave someone a blessing, a house, or in the form of anything, money or wealth or whatever, who are you to question Allah that how did this person get this? This person wasn't deserving of it. Now, there's a halal form of jealousy. Does anyone know what it is? So jealousy is called hasad. Hasad, yeah? وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. That's jealousy. That is impermissible, not allowed. There's another form which is allowed. Does anyone know what it is? If you do, you can write on the chat option. Anyone know what the halal jealousy is? No, the halal jealousy is called ghibta. Ghibta, ghain, ba, ta, and round ta. It means admiration. Ghibta is when a person desires something so for example, man A desires something from man B. He doesn't want man B to use it, he just wants the replica. For example, man A, he really liked man B's, say for example, watch. He had a Rolex watch. And man A, he doesn't want man B to lose his Rolex watch, but he asks Allah, oh Allah, I admire this, I want the same as well. That's ghibta. That's admiration. Admiration is permissible, okay? And it's encouraging good actions. For example, if a person is reciting 15 juz of the Quran every single day, you're allowed to be jealous of that person. You know what? He's reciting 15, I'm going to recite 20. Okay? It's like a halal competition. It's like a healthy competition. That's fine. If someone is giving lots of charity, yeah, for example, this person, he makes, say, whatever he makes, he gives 10% of his monthly earnings to charity. You're allowed to have ghibta and say, you know what? I want to beat this person. Okay? I'm jealous of that person. That's very good what he's doing. Now I'm going to give 12% or 15% of my wealth to charity. That's fine. Okay? And it's encouraging good actions. There's an English saying I remember. It's a very good saying. It goes by the word that don't compare the sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time. When the sun is out, yes, the moon can't come out, right? Because it's daytime. It's time for the sun to shine. And in the evening, in the night, the moon comes out. Okay? You can't compare both of them. Why? Because they shine when it's their own time. So sometimes in life, yes, when you have children, or if someone says, look, what's wrong with your child? Have you heard about my child? He's done this, he got this for Jesus, and you're thinking my child has done nothing. Don't worry. Okay, don't be jealous of that certain person's child. It might be that your child will shine later on in life. Okay, you can't compare your child with someone else's child. You can't compare your life with someone else's life. It might be that you might be jobless for a very long time. You can't be jealous of someone else who's got a better job. No, it might be that later on Allah will give you something. Be patient, inshallah, and Allah will give you something better. Another thing is evil eye. Now, evil eye is real as well. Al-ainu haq. Many people fall prey to this as they post everything of their life onto social media. Social media, because of social media, evil eye and jealousy has increased so much. Okay, you have to understand this, that not everyone on your contact list in social media is your friend. Majority of them, 80%, 90% maybe, are the strangers that you've added. Not everyone's going to be happy with what you put up. You might put up a meal. You went out to a restaurant and you ate something. You took a picture and you put up. Not everyone has the finances, has the wealth to go out and eat in restaurants like you. And if they get jealous and if they don't say mashallah, what happens? That's evil eye done. If you put a picture up of your child, if you put a picture of your car you bought, or your job, or your new shoes, or your watch, or something you've bought, or you've gone on a holiday. What if someone in your contact list can't afford a holiday? Yes, and automatically they might feel jealous about it, right? It's evil eye done. So don't post everything onto social media. You bought a car, your loved ones will see anyway, right? Why do you have to put it on social media? Your family, your friends, one day they will see it. They will see your baby anyway. You don't have to put it on social media. Okay, evil eye. He has. Many people have suffered due to evil eye. He has broken marriages. He has given people, like some people, they put food up so much. He has given them. He has given them stomach disease to the point. I know someone that they can't eat normal food anymore. So don't show the world everything, or your happiness will be snatched away. So this goes as well, even in Yusuf alayhi salam's time. If you remember, if you have learned the story of Yusuf alayhi salam's time, when Yaqub alayhi salam sent his sons to go to Egypt and to visit Yusuf alayhi salam, to get stuff from Yusuf alayhi salam, he told his sons that enter from different doors, because they were all of his sons were beautiful. They were all tall, they were all handsome, right? They were all handsome, right? He told them all to enter from different doors, because if they all entered from one door, he was scared someone might he was scared they might become a victim of evil eye. This goes all the way back to Yaqub alayhi salam's time as well. So recite the following dua abundantly, inshallah. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. I'll say again. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. I seek refuge in Allah's most perfect words from every devil, harmful thing, and accusing eye. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us all, our families, and our loved ones from evil eye, jealousy, and all the sins and everything that have been mentioned in today's lesson. That was the summary of Surah Falaq. Before we end the lesson, inshallah, we will go over the differences between Surah Nas and Surah Falaq. In Surah Nas, Allah talks about protection from spiritual harms and calamities. Shaitan can only spiritually harm you. Yes? Shaitan can never physically harm you. He can only spiritually harm you. However, if Shaitan can harm you, Shaitan's influence can lead to eternal failure. Eternal failure is when you fail the test of this life, and on the day of judgment, you enter into Jahannam. So remember that Shaitan, he always starts off with that whisper. The whisper will become a thought. That thought will become an intention. The intention will become an action. The action will become a habit. And the habit will become your character. No one wakes up and starts smoking, right? It starts from peer pressure, right? Let me just try it out. Yes, you have it once, and then uh, you keep having it, and it becomes a habit, and then it becomes your character. You just can't stop having it. The same thing with all sins. No one wakes up and thinks, you know what, let me steal from a bank. No, it builds up. First, you steal from a friend, or you steal from a family member. Then you steal from a local shop. Then you might steal from your classroom. You might steal from groceries. And slowly, slowly, because you've been doing it so much, you lead up, and then you'll end up stealing from the bank. So Shaitan, he takes you down. He takes you to the shallow end, slowly to the deep end. He won't just make you. He won't just come and pile so much upon you. So it all starts from a thought. Delete that thought immediately. Surah Falaq talks about protection from physical harms and calamities. Surah Nas talks about spiritual harm. Surah Falaq talks about physical harm, like the darkness of the night, of thieves, and many dangerous animals and stuff like that. They come out in the night, and it talks about the witchcraft as well, black magic and stuff like that. It talks about evil eye and stuff like that. In Surah Falaq, Allah Ta'ala uses one of his attributes, only one attribute. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Okay, I seek refuge in the Lord of the daybreak, and you seek protection from many things. Whereas Surah Nas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses three attributes. Yes, three attributes. Like for example, if you take your phone and you get three missed calls from your parents, from your mom or dad, you know that's urgent, right? Because three times they've called you. Whereas if they call you once, it might not be as urgent. Likewise, Allah is making you call Him three times. to show you, because the thing you're asking for protection from is something very urgent, something the bigger threat of your life. They are the main differences between Surah Nas and Surah Falaq. And our last slide before we finish, inshallah, is what lessons can we take from Surah Nas and Surah Falaq? First lesson, always be careful of shaitan. Yes, no matter how good you are, you can lead a life of piety for 60 years. He just takes shaitan 1 second and he can destroy everything, your full career of good. He can destroy everything. And it happened in the past. Many scholars, 50, 60 years, yes, they devoted everything to Allah. They never got married. They just worshipped Allah so much. And shaitan, they left this world bowing down to shaitan. And slowly, he creeps in evil thoughts into you. Remember, I said delete the evil thought. And remember what the Prophet said, that shaitan runs through the body of a man like the blood flows through the veins. Number two is jealousy is an illness of the heart. Okay, jealousy is an illness of the heart. There's many illnesses of the heart like malice, jealousy, all this. We need to wipe this off. Be happy for your fellow brothers and sisters. Be happy for them. If someone bought a car, say, Alhamdulillah, mashallah, I'm really happy for you. Okay, say mashallah. Number two is sins only occur when one acts upon it. You know, for example, when we have an intention to do something evil, you don't get the sin straight away. When you act upon it, Allah only gives you one sin. Look how merciful Allah is. Allah only gives you one sin. When you have an intention of evil, yes, you feel like stealing, you feel like robbing someone, you feel like doing this. When you do the action, Allah gives you one sin. And when you have good intention, you get one reward. When you have intention to do good, you get one reward immediately. When you do the good action, Allah gives you 10 rewards. So you get 11 rewards. And on top of that, if you do a sin and you follow the sin up with a good action, the good action wipes away that sin. Say subhanallah. Look how Allah's reward system is, that when you make intention to do evil, you don't get sin. When you do the evil action, you only get one sin. When you make intention to do good, you get one good. You get one deed. When you do the good action, you get 10. So altogether, with the intention and the action, Allah gives you 11 deeds. And if you follow up a sin with a good action, Allah wipes away that sin. And the next lesson is shaitan's whispers, it goes straight into the heart. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. Shaitan's whispers cannot be heard, it goes straight into the heart. And the last one is a human being can also be classed as a shaitan. That some human beings, shaitan has influenced them so much that they themselves have become shaitan. You see some people in Ramadan, they have no excuse, but they're not fasting. In Ramadan, shaitans are locked up. Shaitans are chained away. But even in Ramadan, you see so many people that they are not fasting because they themselves have become shaitan. They have influenced them so shaitan has influenced them so much outside of Ramadan that they themselves have become very evil. That is the end of today's lesson. So alhamdulillah, we covered Surah Nas and Surah Falaq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to act upon everything that was taught today. Hope it was beneficial. Hope you learned a lot today. If anyone has any questions, you can ask. If not, inshallah, I will see you inshallah next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.